Sometimes you don't realize the value of silence until it's the only thing left speaking. My friends, there comes a moment, not the first day, not the loud day, but the day. The day they finally stop pretending. The day their smile fades just a second too long. The day the distractions aren't enough anymore. That's the day they finally start missing you, not because you said anything, but because you didn't. Imagine someone walking into a room they once filled with laughter, with love, with you. But now the lights are dim. The room is quiet. They reach out instinctively. But the energy they once took for granted isn't there anymore. Just silence, cold, echoing silence. And suddenly they feel something they never expected. Absence. Not just the absence of a person, but of a presence, of a peace they can't fake or find anywhere else. That's the moment they finally get it. That's the day they finally start missing you. You see, they didn't miss you when you walked away. No, that was just their pride still talking. They didn't miss you when they posted that story, hoping you'd watch it. They didn't miss you when they flirted with someone new, laughing just a little too loud. That wasn't missing, that was performance. But the show doesn't last forever. The crowd disappears, the lights go out, and all that's left is them, sitting alone with the echo of who you used to be. They thought your silence meant you were angry. They thought your silence was just a phase. They thought they still had time to play. But silence, my friends, is not a game. It's a verdict. It's a reflection. It's the one language they never expected to hear so loudly. And when they finally stop hearing from you, that's when they feel you. There's a lie out there, one people love to believe. The lie that if someone misses you, they'll show it right away. False. Real missing doesn't knock politely. It doesn't show up with a text. It shows up when the world gets quiet, when their phone doesn't light up anymore, when your name isn't in their notifications, when they reach for your energy out of habit and realize that habit is gone. That's the day it hits. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." And the day they finally start thinking about you, really thinking about you, is the day they realize they didn't lose attention. They lost alignment. They lost peace. They lost presence. And no new conversation can recreate that. No distraction can replace it. You were their calm in the storm, their mirror in the chaos. And now that mirror is gone, they don't just miss you. They miss the version of themselves they only felt safe enough to be around you. That's why this day is so important, because this is the day their mask falls. This is the day they can't pretend anymore. And the best part, you didn't have to remind them. You didn't have to reach out. You didn't have to prove anything. You just became silent. And that silence became the loudest truth they've ever heard. So stay with me. Because what we're about to unpack isn't just about missing someone. It's about the moment they realize they lost something rare and can never get it back. If you're someone who walked away, if you've ever been strong enough to choose your peace over their pride, drop this in the comments right now. My silence speaks volumes. Let's light up this space together. The day the illusion fades. You never realize how quiet someone's presence was until their silence becomes the loudest sound in your life. My friends, this is the day everything starts to shift, not for you, but for them. This is the day the illusion finally begins to crack. The illusion that you'd always be there. The illusion that you'd always reply. The illusion that no matter what they did, your energy was permanent. But energy, true energy, isn't endless. It's sacred. And when it leaves behind an echo that's louder than any words you ever spoke. Imagine this, folks. They're walking through their day like nothing's changed. Same coffee, same phone scroll, same casual arrogance that convinced them they could let you go without consequence. But then something feels off. Something's missing, a message they expected, a response they were sure would come. They open their inbox. Nothing. They check their stories. No view from you. They post something vague, baiting your attention. And silence answers them. That's when it starts. That quiet panic in their chest, that cold realization, you're not orbiting their world anymore. At first, they try to laugh it off. They're just busy, they tell themselves. They're just being stubborn. They'll come back. But deep down, a seed of doubt is planted, and it grows fast. Because here's the truth. They didn't expect you to disappear like this. Not this calm, not this complete, not this real. They thought they had time. They thought you'd always be the one who cared more. They thought you'd always reach back. But folks, you didn't. You didn't explain. You didn't argue. You just vanished into your own peace. And suddenly their control is gone. This is where the questions start hitting them. Wait. Did I push too far? Did I finally cross the line? Have they actually moved on? And that's the fear they never wanted to face. Because as long as they believed they still had some grip on you, even just emotionally, they felt safe. But the moment that illusion fades, their pride starts to tremble, and the silence becomes terrifying. They start replaying things in their mind, conversations, moments they dismissed, times you were patient, loyal, present, when they didn't even say thank you. They start realizing just how much of your energy they depended on, and how much they never gave back. This is the pain they tried to avoid by pretending it was nothing. But now the silence speaks, and it tells the truth louder than you ever could. There's a lie the world loves to feed them. They'll never leave. They care too much. But Stoicism teaches us a harder truth. As Seneca once said, no one can be free who is a slave to their passions. And you, my friend, broke free. You chose dignity over drama, silence over chasing, peace over proving. And that's why today, this day, it hits them like a wave they never saw coming. You see, walking away is easy when someone's still reacting, still fighting, still trying. But when you go quiet, when you go still, that's when they feel the weight. Because now they can't tell themselves stories anymore. They can't gaslight their way around your absence. They can't feel powerful anymore. Not when your energy is gone and your silence is louder than their ego. And sure, they'll try to distract themselves, post louder, laugh harder, flirt more. But even the noisiest room can't drown out the voice of regret. That voice gets louder when the truth hits. When they realize they weren't just losing you, they were losing the only person who truly saw them, stayed solid, and gave them peace without ever asking for anything in return. So if you're standing in that space right now, holding your silence while they stumble through their illusion, understand this. You are not being cold. You are not being cruel. You are simply refusing to keep feeding someone who didn't know how to value what they were being given. And this day, this moment, is when the illusion dies and the truth begins to speak. They thought you were replaceable. They thought you'd fold. But now, you've become the presence they can't find again. You've become the peace they lost in the noise. And nothing they chase will ever feel the same again. Drop this in the comments if you know what it feels like to shatter their illusion by simply choosing silence. My silence broke the illusion. Say it loud. Say it with pride. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you don't need to explain your worth. You embody it. And stay with me, because next we'll uncover what happens the moment your silence stops being a phase and starts becoming their new reality. The day you don't react. You don't lose power when you stay silent. You gain it, because silence can't be manipulated. My friends, this is the day that shakes them harder than anything else. Not the day you cried, not the day you walked away, not even the day you went quiet. No, the day that really rattles their soul is the day you stop reacting altogether, the day you stop flinching when they try to provoke you, the day they reach for those old emotional strings and find nothing to pull on anymore. At first, they don't even notice. They test the waters, lightly. A "hope you're well" text, a story that's obviously for you, a post that screams nostalgia aimed at your subconscious. They think you'll bite. They're confident. They've seen you respond before. You've done it a dozen times. Just one breadcrumb and you'd give them your whole energy again. But this time, nothing. No like, no view, no text back, just silence. Still, cold, intentional. Imagine this, folks. A magician steps on stage and pulls the same rabbit out of the same hat for years. It works every time. The crowd loves it. But now, the crowd is gone. The lights are off. The stage is empty. And the trick doesn't work anymore. That's what your lack of reaction feels like to them. A magic show that suddenly stops getting applause. And now they're left confused, maybe even scared, because they don't know how to play this version of you. You see, reaction used to be their lifeline. It used to be proof they still mattered, that they still had a piece of you, that even in separation, they controlled the emotional temperature. They thought a single post could still shake you. They thought you'd still come running. But the game changed, and they didn't get the memo. This is when their confidence starts to crack. Not because you said something, but because you didn't. That silence. It's not passive. It's not weakness. It's powerful, because it proves something they never wanted to believe, that you're not waiting for them anymore. You're not emotionally available. You've stopped living on the edge of their approval. And that realization is more terrifying than anything you could have shouted. They'll run the playbook, my friends. All of it. The breadcrumb messages, the accidental calls, the mysterious quotes, the vague songs on their story. They'll look for you in the viewers list. They'll check to see if you saw it. And when they don't find your name, that's when the panic sets in. Because now they're realizing you're not playing anymore. You're not trying to win them back. You've stepped off the chessboard and walked out of the game completely. And here's the twist. They don't know how to handle peace. They're addicted to drama, to reaction, to emotional tug-of-war. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't in what you say, it's in what you refuse to respond to. As Epictetus said, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. And when your opinion of them becomes silent, when their actions no longer move your spirit, they begin to lose control over their own. They used to think they had time. They used to think your silence was temporary. They told themselves you'd cave. But this day, the day you don't react to their bait, their trap, their noise, this is the day they realize the control is gone. You don't hate them. You don't love them. You've just outgrown them. And that's what haunts them most. They thought silence would be anger, or sadness, or weakness. But your silence isn't empty. It's evolved. It's grounded. It's peaceful. That's the part they didn't expect. You're not ignoring them to get revenge. You're not silent because you're broken. You're silent because you're healed. And when they feel that shift, that complete lack of reaction, it mirrors back the truth they've been trying to avoid. They don't affect you anymore. So my friends, hold your ground. Don't check their stories. Don't respond to that text. Don't repost something for them to see. Let them sit in the silence they created. Let them realize they don't live rent-free in your mind anymore. Let the stillness be their consequence, and your peace be your proof. If you've ever chosen to rise above the bait, if you've ever decided that your energy is too valuable to waste on games, drop this in the comments right now. I don't react, I rise. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that your silence isn't just a response, it's a revolution. And stay with me, because next we're diving into what happens when the rhythm of their life starts falling apart. All because the heartbeat that once kept it alive, you, is no longer there. The day the routine breaks. It's not the silence that hurts. It's the pattern that breaks and reminds you who was holding it all together. My friends, this is one of the most underestimated moments in the entire journey. The day their routine begins to fall apart without you. Not because something loud happened, not because of a fight or a dramatic goodbye. No, this one is different. This is the quiet collapse, the kind they don't notice at first, the kind that creeps in slowly, like a thread being pulled from a sweater, one tug, then another, and suddenly everything unravels. You see, people don't usually miss the big things first. They don't miss the breakup talk. They don't miss the final message. They miss the little things, the consistency, the rhythm, the way your energy used to move with theirs, day after day, without them even realizing how much of their life was built around it. Imagine this, folks. Imagine someone building a house. Every brick is a message, a shared laugh, a morning text, a be safe before bed. For a while it feels stable, solid, like it'll stand forever. But remove the person who laid those bricks every day, and the house doesn't fall immediately. It leans, it cracks, it weakens in the quiet, and eventually it collapses. Not with noise, but with stillness. That's what starts happening to them. At first they think it's nothing, just another day. They scroll their phone and think, no message today? They shrug, maybe later, but it doesn't come. Then another day passes. No meme, no inside joke, no reaction to that story they posted, hoping it would get your attention. Just silence. Again. Now something shifts. It's not panic yet. It's not regret. It's disorientation. Because they didn't realize how much your presence stabilized them until it disappeared. They didn't realize you were their rhythm, the background beat in their life, until the music stopped playing. They reach for their phone without thinking. They open your chat, instinct, habit, but then they freeze because it's empty. There's no hey, no check-in, no trace of your energy, and that's when it begins to sting. Here's the lie they believed, that routines rebuild themselves, that comfort can be replaced, that if you go silent, they'll just fill the gap with someone else. But Stoicism teaches us otherwise. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. They thought they had power over your presence. They thought they could move on and carry the rhythm with them. But the moment you took your energy back, they realized that rhythm wasn't theirs. It was yours. And now it's gone. They laugh at something on their feed and instinctively they want to send it to you, but you're not there. They pass a place you both used to love, and for a split second they look around like you might be walking beside them. But you're not. And in those small, fleeting moments, the silence becomes unbearable, because it's not loneliness they feel. It's the ghost of connection. It's the realization that those small things, the ones they thought didn't matter, they mattered more than anything. They were the connection. And now every gap in their routine is a reminder of what they lost. And they'll try to distract themselves. Oh yes, they'll send good morning texts to someone new. They'll try to laugh at new jokes. They'll chase new rhythms, but something will always feel off, too forced, too loud, too shallow, because no two energies feel the same. And no matter how many people they bring into their life, none of them will move like you did. And here's the part they can't admit, not even to themselves. They miss you without meaning to. It slips out in their habits, in their thoughts, in the way their phone feels heavier at night. They don't miss the attention. They miss the presence, the consistency, the heartbeat. So, my friends, if you're sitting there wondering if your absence is felt, trust me, it is. Not in grand gestures, not in dramatic outbursts, but in the routine, in the silence of a day that no longer starts with your voice, in the empty space where your steady love used to be. Don't break that silence. Don't rush to fill the gap. Let them sit in the absence. Let them realize you were the rhythm, you were the steady hand in their chaos. And now, without you, the beat doesn't land the same. Drop this in the comments if you know your consistency was their comfort. I was their rhythm. Show the world what happens when real energy walks away. Show them that silence doesn't mean weakness. It means they're now dancing to an empty tune. And stay with me, because next we're going deeper, into the moment they try to replace you, only to find out that no one else feels like you. The day the replacement fails. You don't realize how rare real is until you're drowning in the shallow. This is the day, my friends, when everything they tried to use to distract themselves stops working. The new people, the texts, the compliments, the noise, it all starts to feel like static. You see, they were convinced they could replace you, convinced that new attention would wash away the loss. But today is when it finally hits them. Nothing, not a single smile, conversation, or temporary thrill, feels like you. That's when the panic starts to settle in, quiet, slow, heavy. At first they told themselves a story. They were just one person. I'll find better. And on the surface it even looked true. They went out, they smiled, they posted, they laughed a little too loud in rooms filled with people who had no idea they were trying to replace a soul with strangers. But deep down, the hollow started growing. Imagine this, folks. Imagine someone standing on a beach, clutching a handful of glitter. It sparkles under the sun, it dazzles, it's beautiful, until the wind comes, until the tide rises, and suddenly all that shine, gone. It slips through their fingers, and they're left staring at an empty hand, wondering how they ever thought glitter could replace gold. That's what it feels like the moment they realize you were the rare one. They sit across from someone new. Good energy, smiles, charm. But something's off. The laughter doesn't land the same. The connection feels scripted. The depth they were used to, that sense of being truly seen, it's missing. And they can't fake it. They try. But inside, their heart knows this isn't it. And here's where the lie breaks. The one they told themselves the moment you walked away, I'll move on fast. That lie is comfortable. It's what lets people sleep at night. It helps them avoid accountability. But Stoicism, my friends, is built on truth. And truth has a way of rising, especially in silence. As Marcus Aurelius once said, waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. And that's what you did. You didn't argue your worth. You didn't fight to prove your irreplaceability. You embodied it, quietly, steadily, fully. They, on the other hand, went searching, not for healing, not for growth, but for a duplicate of something they didn't understand the value of when they had it. But here's the problem. Depth can't be cloned. Peace can't be imitated. Presence can't be faked. And what they find now are people who talk too much and say too little, who show up fast and fade even faster, who want attention, not connection. They start comparing, subconsciously at first. A phrase reminds them of something you used to say. A laugh echoes differently. A gesture feels hollow. And now every interaction becomes a mirror, reflecting back just how unique your energy was. And my friends, here's the twist. They don't miss you as a concept. They miss how they felt when they were around you. They miss the comfort, the clarity, the calm. That's what's missing now. They start to feel it in the in-between moments, not during the party but after it, not during the conversation but in the silence that follows. And that silence is louder than ever, because now it's filled with the echo of what used to be. And every shallow connection they reach for only reminds them of how deep they once had it, and lost it. They didn't expect that, did they? They thought you'd be easy to forget. Just another number in the contact list, just another story in the archive. But what they failed to understand is that real presence doesn't fade. It lingers. It stays in the fabric of memory. It carves its initials into their subconscious. And when the replacements fall flat, that's when they realize it wasn't about attention, it was about alignment. So let them scroll, let them date, let them laugh and post and pretend they've moved on. You don't need to check in, you don't need to compete, because every new smile they chase only exposes what they let go of. And here's where your power lives, not in being chased, but in being irreplaceable. Drop this in the comments if you know your presence left a mark no one else can mimic. I can't be replaced. Say it with pride. Say it with peace. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that real doesn't need to return to be remembered. And stay with me, because next we're going even deeper, into the day the past sneaks up on them, triggered by the smallest memory, and it wrecks them. The day the trigger breaks them. It's never the big goodbye that shatters them. It's the random memory that sneaks in and reminds them what can't be undone. My friends, this is the day they didn't see coming. The day they thought they had outsmarted. The day they believed they had successfully buried. But the truth? You can't outrun real connection. You can't silence a memory that's etched into your nervous system. And this day, it arrives not with a roar, but with a whisper, a scent, a song, a laugh in the air, something small, something stupid, but it cracks them wide open. They thought they were fine, genuinely. They started building a new routine, posting like life was back to normal, smiling with people who don't know a thing about what they're hiding underneath. They thought time was healing them. They thought silence was victory. But Stoicism reminds us it's not what happens outside, it's what stirs within. And today, something within wakes up. It always starts innocent. Maybe they're walking through a grocery store. They reach for the same snack you used to love, and suddenly your laugh echoes in their mind. Maybe they hear a playlist shuffling, and your song comes on. That one you played in the car late at night, when the world felt safe and still. Or maybe it's the smell of rain on the pavement, and boom, they're back in that moment, standing beside you, not even talking, just breathing in peace. And just like that, they're wrecked. And the worst part? They weren't ready for it. That's what makes this day so brutal. They prepared for the breakup talk. They armored up for the silence, but they weren't prepared for remembering. Not like this. Not in the middle of their day. Not when everything was supposed to be fine. That's the lie they believed, that healing follows a straight line, that once you're gone, you're gone. But you weren't just a person in their life. You were an experience, a feeling, a rhythm. And feelings don't disappear just because the world tells them to move on. They live in the background, in the details, in the senses. You see, they don't cry over the big fights. They don't lose sleep over the final words. It's the little moments that haunt them. The way you said their name, the way you remembered the small things they didn't even tell other people. The way silence felt full when you were near. Those things don't fade. They embed. And when that trigger hits, it all comes flooding back. They try to hold it in. It's nothing, they tell themselves. But their chest tightens. Their smile drops. Their throat closes up. They stare at their phone, tempted to type your name, but they don't. Pride still holds them hostage. But the damage is already done, because now the illusion of moving on is broken, and the memory of you feels too real to ignore. Imagine this, folks. Imagine them standing in a crowded room surrounded by noise, laughter, distraction. But inside, silence. Not the peaceful kind, the haunting kind, the kind that echoes your name in the back of their mind. And that echo grows louder every time they try to cover it up. Every laugh that doesn't feel real, every touch that feels unfamiliar, every conversation that ends in emotional emptiness. Because here's what they're realizing. You weren't just someone they had. You were someone who understood them, who saw through them, who didn't require performance. And now that you're gone, they finally grasp what they let slip. And that truth, it doesn't leave. It stays. It stings. They start to look at their life differently. They start to see the cracks. Not because you're there to remind them, but because the memory of you is. You became their emotional trigger, not through manipulation, not through noise, but through pure, honest, undeniable presence. The kind they never appreciated when it was freely given, and now can't recreate no matter how hard they try. And here's the beauty in it, my friends. You didn't force this. You didn't send a reminder. You didn't try to haunt them. You simply lived so authentically, so purely, so deeply, that your absence now does what your words never could. It teaches, it humbles, it hurts. So if you've ever become someone's silent memory, someone whose presence haunts them more than your voice ever could, drop this in the comments right now. I became a trigger they can't silence. Say it with pride. Say it with peace. You don't need to break the silence. They're already breaking under the weight of their own memory. And stay with me, because next we're diving into the day your stillness, not your words, becomes the storm that shakes their foundation. The day your stillness shakes them. True power is not how loud you speak, but how calm you remain when the world expects you to break. This is the day, my friends, the day they feel the quake and there's no sound, no warning, no message, just stillness. And that's what rattles them the most. Not your anger, not your words, not your reaction, your lack of one. The stillness that used to mean you were thinking, the stillness that used to come before an apology. But now, it is the answer. They've tried everything by now, the subtle stories, the breadcrumb texts, the jokes that only you two used to understand. They've cast every fishing line they could think of, waiting for a ripple. Just one. Something to prove you still feel something. But the water stays still. Still like a mountain lake. Still like a monk in meditation. Still like someone who's finally learned their peace is not up for negotiation. And that's what breaks them. They thought silence meant you were weak, that you were avoiding conflict, that you were too emotional to speak. But your silence isn't confusion, it's clarity, it's discipline, it's strength. It's a message that doesn't need a caption or a reaction, it just is. And the more it lingers, the more they start to realize they're not waiting on your next move anymore, because you're not even playing the game. Imagine this, folks. Imagine screaming into a canyon, expecting an echo and getting nothing back. That's what your stillness feels like to them. It's not passive. It's not absence. It's confrontation by contrast. They send you bait, expecting the version of you who used to bite, who used to fold, who used to explain your worth. But now, they get nothing. and nothing is louder than any speech you could give. This is when the fear sets in. Not the fear of losing you, they've already done that. No, this is the fear of realizing you're not lost, you're free, you're healed, you're focused, you're no longer dancing to their chaos. You've stopped orbiting their storm. And in doing so, you've forced them to look in the mirror without distraction. They scroll, they check, they linger, and they pretend they're fine. But every time they don't see your name, every time their phone doesn't light up, every time you don't give them what they used to expect from you so easily, it chips away at their confidence, because now they're no longer sure who you are. And that, my friends, is terrifying. Stoicism teaches us that emotional control is the highest form of self-mastery. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And what they're now realizing is, they no longer control your emotions. They don't control your energy. They don't even know where your attention is anymore. And that unknown is what eats at them. Because once they could predict you, they could pull your strings, smile a certain way, say a certain word, post a certain thing, and you'd respond. That was the dance. That was the power. But now, your silence is your refusal to participate. Your stillness is your liberation. Your absence is your strength. And they don't know what to do with that. They thought closure would come from a fight, or an argument, or one last desperate message, but they're not getting that. They're getting silence. And that silence is eating them alive. You're not chasing. You're not defending. You're not even acknowledging. You've become untouchable, not because you're cruel, but because you're healed. And that's the shift they didn't expect. That's the version of you they never planned for. Not the one who begs, not the one who breaks, but the one who rises, calm, clear, unshakable. So if you've ever held your peace while someone tried to stir your chaos, if you've ever sat in silence and let your stillness speak louder than your past self ever could, drop this in the comments right now. My stillness is strength. Say it with your chest. Say it with your soul. Show them, show yourself. Show the world around you that silence isn't surrender, it's evolution. And stay with me, because next, we're walking into the day the contrast hits them hardest. The day they finally realize that no one else carries what you did, and they can't unfeel it. The day the contrast hits. You never miss the light until you're stuck in a room full of flickering bulbs trying to imitate the sun. This is the day, my friends. The day they finally feel the weight of the difference, the contrast, the comparison they swore they'd never make. You see, up until now, they've been living in distraction, replacing conversations, copy-pasting connections, telling themselves that what they had with you, it wasn't special. It was just timing, just chemistry, just another chapter. But the day always comes, the day where what they have collides with what they had. The mask drops, the noise fades, and the truth hits harder than they ever imagined. No one feels like you. It doesn't happen in a dramatic flash. It creeps in. Maybe they're sitting across from someone new. On paper, everything checks out. Looks good, talks well, laughs on cue. But something's missing. Something invisible but unmistakable. They smile, but it doesn't land. They talk, but feel unheard. They laugh, but it's hollow. And that's when the thought slides in quietly, like a whisper from their soul. It wasn't like this with them. That's the contrast. They thought you were replaceable. They believed they could find someone who'd check the same boxes, maybe even more boxes. But boxes don't mean depth. Chemistry isn't connection. Attention isn't presence. And this new person, they might be everything on the surface, but underneath, there's no weight, no soul, no peace, no you. Imagine this, folks. Imagine drinking from a crystal clear stream every day. Natural, refreshing, effortless. Then one day you're handed a bottle of flavored water, artificial, flashy label. But after a few sips, your mouth is dry, your stomach unsettled, your body knows the difference. That's the contrast they're feeling now. Their soul is dehydrated, and only now are they realizing what you were nourishing. And here's the thing, they don't want to admit it. Pride still sits on their shoulder, whispering, "You're doing fine, you've moved on." But their spirit disagrees. Their heart pulls the curtain back, because when they compare how calm they felt with you, how safe they felt in your silence, how seen they felt without performing, they can't unfeel it. And the lie they built starts to collapse. The lie that you were just another person, the lie that connection can be copied and pasted, the lie that real presence isn't rare. Stoicism breaks lies like this apart. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." They're surrounded by more now, more people, more attention, more everything. And still, they're starving. Starving for what you gave so freely, so effortlessly, so quietly. And that's what makes the contrast so painful. You never had to scream your value. You never had to make noise to be seen. You didn't demand their attention. You became the calm they didn't know they needed. And now, they're trying to recreate that feeling with people who don't have the soul to carry it. And it's not working. They go on dates. They laugh. They smile for pictures. But they don't feel understood. They're surrounded, yet disconnected. And in those quiet moments, when the room empties and the phone is silent, that's when the contrast rings loudest. That's when your energy shows up, not because you're there, but because you're not. And here's the beauty, my friends. You didn't have to change for this to happen. You didn't become someone else to make a point. You just became you, steady, evolved, rooted, and in doing so, you raised the bar so high, they didn't even know they were measuring everyone else against you, until they looked around and found no one who came close. They can scroll all day, they can chase excitement, they can keep pretending. But the contrast doesn't lie. It sits with them. It follows them. It waits in every interaction, every conversation, every moment where something is almost enough, but never quite right. So if you know you brought a kind of presence that can't be copied, if you've ever watched someone drown in the shallow after walking away from your depth, drop this in the comments. I became the standard. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that calm energy is the loudest voice in the room and it echoes forever. And stay with me, because next we step into the moment they realize the most painful truth of all. You didn't just leave, you leveled up, and now they can't reach you. The day they realize you've leveled up and can't be reached. The real revenge is when they finally look up and realize you're not bitter, you're not broken, you're beyond them. This, my friends, is the day that haunts them the most. Not the day you left, not the day you stopped calling, not even the day you went silent. No, this is the day they see you again. But not the old you, not the version they thought they had on a leash. This is the day they finally witness your transformation and realize they no longer have access to it. And that sting cuts deeper than your silence ever could. They see it in passing. Maybe it's a picture. Maybe someone mentions your name. Maybe they catch a glimpse of you online or walk past you in real life and it hits them like a freight train. You're not just gone. You've grown. You've evolved. You've upgraded your energy. And not to prove a point, not to get revenge, but because peace, growth, and purpose became more important than their confusion. Imagine this, folks. Imagine they walk by a place they used to visit with you. They expect a ruin. They expect to see ashes, a version of you still stuck in the past. But instead, they see a skyscraper, shining, towering, solid. You rebuilt yourself from the ground up, and they weren't part of it. That's when their breath catches. That's when their heart sinks, because they expected you to stay in the chapter they abandoned. But you closed the book, and you wrote a new one, without them. And the irony, they didn't check in while you were healing. They didn't care when you were quiet. They didn't ask if you were okay when you disappeared. They thought you were stuck, broken, waiting. But the truth is, you were building. You were growing in silence, grinding in private, shedding the old version of yourself like a snake shedding dead skin. And now you walk different, you speak different, you carry different. They stare at you now and don't recognize what they once called theirs. Because this version is no longer accessible to the person who couldn't handle you at your realest. You no longer chase. You no longer explain. You no longer shrink to fit spaces you've outgrown. You became a mirror they can't look into without seeing their own failure to love you properly. And here's what really crushes them. You didn't level up to get them back. You leveled up because you finally saw your worth. You stopped handing your energy to people who only took and never poured back. You stopped waiting for apologies that were never coming. You stopped explaining your heart to someone who made you question its value. And in doing that, you became untouchable. They might try to come back now, a little "Hey stranger" message, a breadcrumb, a joke, a memory, but it's too late. Because you're no longer standing in the place they left you, you're standing on higher ground. And that version of you they once had access to, that version doesn't live here anymore. Stoicism teaches us that we don't chase what we lose. We master ourselves in the face of it. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And you, my friend, chose silence over spite, stillness over chaos, growth over bitterness. And that choice? That's the day they finally feel the weight of what they lost. So now, when your name is mentioned, their stomach turns. Not because you're gone, but because you're doing better without them. You're radiant, you're focused, you're aligned. And it's not a show, it's your new reality. And it hits them. They weren't just part of your past. They were the reason you leveled up. And now they can't even get a reply. So if you've ever walked away and used the pain to evolve, if you've ever turned heartbreak into fuel and silence into power, drop this in the comments right now. They lost access to me. Say it loud. Say it proud. Because this is your proof. You didn't stay stuck. You didn't wait. You became. And now, the door is sealed. My friends, if this message stirred something in you, if you know the power of silence, growth, and becoming everything they swore you wouldn't, then hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this with someone who's building themselves back stronger than ever. Because what's coming next? It's not about them anymore. It's about you, your evolution, your elevation, your empire. Stay silent, stay strong, stay rising.